Thank you, Katie. We'll move into communications petitions. Item letter A, CL Real Estate Keefer House construction update, and I see Nick's here.
Nick. Here. Good evening. Another good report. After the last couple of weeks, even with the holiday in there, we got quite a bit done. Got a lot of more of the structural steel done. If you saw the crane out there this morning, they brought in one of the main beam down the second floor, and they were getting that set in place today. There's also we started framing on the second floor as well for the actual hotel rooms. So everything has been going very well. The back seems to be completely cleaned out now as far as the back area, the spoils. So everything's going well.
The back looks great, Nick. Thank you. Thank you for your consistent work.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Any questions for Nick?
See you soon.
See you soon.
Looking really good.
No, honestly, if anybody wants a tour through there, feel free to contact me. I'll walk you through.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yep. We'll move into item letter B in communications petitions, 2024 construction project update. Kristin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Last week I presented this construction project update to the traffic summit, which was held here at City Hall with all the Hillsdale County road entities. And Dave thought I should present it to you as well. Essentially, this is just an update as to the construction projects that we'll have in town starting next year. First one, obviously, is the Westwood area, which consists of from Lewis Drive on Westwood Street going west, and then the entire, I don't know the name of that subdivision, Westwood Drive subdivision, Sumac, Scenic, Picardy, Azalea. Did I miss yours, Corona?
Corona, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it used to be as in the beer, but now it's
So, and that will start, the contractor gave me a tentative schedule. They're planning to start mid-March. They're planning to start on the eastern half of the project, which would mean from Lewis going west on Westwood Street, Highland and Glendale. And they're going to complete that whole portion of the project to base paving before they even do anything on the other half of the project, which is good. We have more utility on that part of the project, so that's going to take the longest. They're planning to base pave sometime about mid-July. The most notable thing with where we're starting is we have to close the intersection at Lewis and Westwood Street to get work done under the railroad. So that'll be closed for 2 months, and we'll have a posted detour and such for that. And then they will flip over to do the west half of the project, and then they plan on, at least the current schedule says, paving by the end of October. The second big project we have going on in town is the citywide water valve replacement. We have 65 to 70 water valves that have to be replaced. As you'll see in a future actually I could probably just go forward. That's the Westwood project with its proximity to M99. Obviously it's that large portion. Then this shows all the valves, all the red dots on there are all the valves that have to be replaced throughout the city. This will cause large areas of water outages. They will only be daily, but people will be on boil water notices after we do this work. I have gone through and pretty much vetted all of these water valves in an effort to find out who's going to be impacted to limit these impacts. It's possible it could be 2 consecutive days that you'd be out of water, but it would be only 1 boil water notice. The asterisk in all of that is there are other valves that very possibly won't shut down. So it's very possible that during any one of these valve replacements we will have a larger area than what we anticipated, but we're making every effort to try to keep these as minimal as we can. Obviously we have to work around Hillsdale College's schedule, the public school schedule, businesses that we will impact, and we're very cognizant of that fact. And we will be notifying people as soon as we know what's going to happen. We don't have any dates on any of this. This contractor is looking to start in February or March of next year as well. The sanitary sewer portion of that CDBG grant project are all of these. The red are total replacements of sanitary sewer and or the construction of a new lift station and force main. All the green sections are going to be lined. The lining is going to be small impacts, a couple days in that area. We'll move on to another area. The reconstructions of the sanitary sewer, St. Joe and Mechanic Street will probably be a couple week duration of time. We will have Mechanic completely closed when we're doing that section. We have to move the sanitary sewer into the road. The force main will be, and that's on Marion Street, and the lift station construction will be a longer duration project. I don't yet have a schedule. That may be earlier in the year, but we're having a discussion on it next week. And the section of sewer we have to replace on Willow Street might be a little bit longer duration because that sewer at the deep end is 25 feet in the ground. So that will take some effort to get done. So the other project we have going on next year and is currently bidding through the MDOT system is the St. Joe and Griswold project. We will know on January 5th if we have any bidders and what those prices will be. And at that point, assuming everything is copacetic with the bids, we will move on, and that's a July 8th start date with a completion date of sometime in mid-November. So those are the projects that we will have going on next year. I was told that there was possibly a question regarding maintenance costs. Do you want to ask your question, or you want me just to go ahead with the slide?
Yeah, I mean, currently in Hillsdale we have roughly 50 miles of paved roads.
40.
It's actually 40?
It's 23 and change.
43 altogether.
43 and change, sorry.
Okay, 43 and change. And then currently on a maintenance schedule, Kristin, how many miles should the city be addressing per year? Just, you know, I know right now we got kind of behind the 8 ball. Would it be a safe, it's like maybe 2.5 miles per year?
You know, it's honestly, I can't really give you a number. A lot of what maintenance techniques we use on a road is based on the condition of the road. So, like crack filling, we'll try to do those on roads that are rated on a 10 scale, the 6, 7, or 8. So, I'm not sure if we did last year. Did we crack fill the Hillcrest area last year?
We did not. Okay, next question.
So the area we paved in 2021 is due to be crack filled here the next year. And Jason will kind of follow the road construction projects with the crack sealing, because we want to keep those roads at the high end of the 10 scale, 10 being a perfect road that we just reconstructed. So we are employing all of these. This slide is not in your packet because I added it after the fact. But these are the relative costs for different things. Crack filling is obviously something we do in-house. Cost to do a mile of road is about $4,800. And you can see the cost of a reconstruction at the low end, which is $1.9 million. That's for a mile of road. So it is the intent with the mix of fixes is that we employ all of those when the roads are at the proper condition for those. The problem Hillsdale has is their road infrastructure has been let to decline so badly that most of our roads are in the area where it needs a significant rehabilitation or reconstruction, which there's no point in us doing crack fill on it because it's beyond crack filling. It's beyond doing a non-structural overlay or a mill resurface. So it's hard to give you that number. I can tell you that when we rated this year, back in July, that about 11 miles of our streets are in fair condition, and that is both major and local combined. So that being said, those are the ones that we would focus, the rehabilitation, crack fill, overlays, and such things as that. And we're building that program. Every year we're trying to do something a little bit more. We've done chip seals in the past, but there's not a lot of candidates out there for that kind of work. But what I really wanted to show here is, once we get a road reconstructed, the job of the DPS and the maintenance folks is to keep that road at a 6, 7, or 8 scale and not have it fall down to the poor condition. Because obviously, it's more economical for us to fix that road and do some non-structural or structural type light fixes because of the dollars that are attached to that.
And then right along with that, Kristin, what would you say, okay, So we're doing all these reconstructs and putting those new roads in with proper maintenance as far as doing the, maintaining that, acceptable level, 7 or 9 on a 10-point scale. What would be the life of said road for the most part?
Well, if left untouched and nothing ever happened to it, you get 18 years, 15 to 18 years out of it. If you start doing maintenance, the third column, the column on the right, is extended service life. So if you come in and you do a 1.5 mill and overlay at sometime in the life of that pavement, when it gets down to like a 6, you'll get another 8 years out of that pavement. So the deterioration curve in the middle part of that rating system falls very quickly. So the point is that if you catch that road when it's on the decline and then employ one of these, you then reset that rating back up to a 7 or 8 or 9 even. So that's what you want to keep doing. At some point you get to the point where you can't do those fixes and you have to do something more significant. But you can extend that. I would have to go back and look at the slides that Michigan Tech provided me for some other stuff, and you can probably get 30 years out of the payment by doing good maintenance on it.
30 years.
Yeah.
And the reason why my questions is the fact that right now the city, or actually the public, we passed that extra millage to be addressing the road issues. We're getting more aggressive on addressing bad areas, the Westwood project, St. Joe. And at the same time, we've asked the taxpayers to actually kick some in from their standpoints and their purses. And I guess my concern is that going forth in this next budget, that this council being that, I know public safety is number 1, roads being number 2, that we really need to look hard, long and hard at how we're spending our limited funds and possibly get more allocation toward the public service. So all this work, all this pain that we're to get the roads back to acceptable levels, we're able to maintain them at that level and don't neglect them like past councils have done. So, and that was kind of my main thing, is we've been putting a lot of effort into getting these roads back to acceptable level, and the fact that I actually contend that having safe roads, sidewalks for our constituents to use is, in my opinion, part of public safety too. So, but thanks, Kristin.
Yeah, I do want to point out, a couple of years ago when we started talking about these special assessment districts in the millage, I had done an analysis of the current system and what funding level you have to be at to increase the whole system. Our funding level right now is a funding level that will maintain it at level or slightly above level. At 3.5 mils in our street millage, plus the special assessments, plus what we have in the charter, we don't have a lot of extra cash. And we can address all those roads in 10 years, which is what the millage was for, correct, Mr. Mackey? 10 years was on that millage? Yes. So, the thing that we need to think about is this needs to be long-term funding. The funding is going to get even worse if we start employing more electric cars, because all our funding is gas tax. So as people aren't purchasing gas, there's less funding to go around in the state for roads, because 100% of our money and a little bit on car registration is how we fund our roads in the state. So we have to start, and it's not us, at the state level that needs to start being addressed, because we're going to start losing revenue because of electric cars. And quite frankly, if people are traveling because they don't have the funds to do so, they're spending less gas as well. So that all starts to filter down to us. So, it's an unfortunate situation and needs to be addressed at the state level, but our funding has been this way for many, many years. And with what they require us to do with the money they give us for gas tax, we don't have but $200,000 left when we're done with all of just Jason's maintenance, plowing, signs, pavement markings, sidewalks, all of that stuff, all come out of that same pot of money. And at the end of the day, we have $200,000 left in just the major street fund. The local street fund runs in the red every year. And we have to use the charter money to balance that budget, which leaves us about $150,000 outside of the millage to do road construction. So, you know, and I hate to be bleak about it, but it's the reality of the situation. And we're making a lot of strides. And Jason is fully on board with doing whatever piece of maintenance he has to do, and we're gonna continue to do those as we finish these roads.
And then Kristin, so if the roads were satisfactory right now, our current spending with the millage and everything would probably maintain them at an acceptable level. Would that be fair to say? If
With
we were
the millage and with the funding we have currently, if our roads were, if our average rating was somewhere like 5 or 6, yeah, we would be able to maintain that. We'd probably be losing ground a little bit, but we could keep it a lot better than what we're at now. Because I have, on our current rating, we have 10.5 miles of road that are rated a 2 on a 10 scale. A 1 being a road that the gravel's coming up through. So that's the Westwood, those are 1s. We have another 10 miles that are a 2. So they're right on the edge of just totally losing their pavement. And this is based on the defects we see on the surface. That's how we rate roads. Everybody in the state does it the same. A 2 in Hillsdale is the same as a 2 in Adrian and a 2 in Lansing. They all look the same. But, you know, unfortunately, with all the experience I've had with roads, this is by far the absolute worst road system I've seen in my 25 years of doing road work at municipal level. So, but we're working on it. We're getting it back. And we will continue to do so.
And then right along with that, Kristin, so how much additional, because right now we're kind of underwater with the roads because we're starting at a real negative. As far as to maybe, like when we're swimming upstream, as far as to actually make some progress, how much more would you think that if the council would decide to spend on public service would it take to actually stop the decline and actually start getting a better result at the end?
When I ran these numbers back in 2020, in order to be on a positive incline, we had to be at 6 mils funding.
6 mils?
And we are at 3 and 3.5 right now.
3.5.
So you're talking another 2.5 mils.
Okay. But I'm thinking we're at our max as far as.
We are.
Okay, yeah, as far as our knowledge side.
Well, and we have been, more so than any municipality I've worked in, we've been very aggressive at getting grants. But the problem with grants is, you know, we were just rejected on our B grant for Manning Street and our B grant for all the chip seal around the city, and we just got a rejection on the F grant for Manning Street. And the problem is that every municipality is applying for that money. We got B grant money several years ago, so that kind of bumps you to the bottom of the list, so we keep trying. So, you know, we put these in every year, we keep asking. I figure if we just keep putting it in front of them, one day we're gonna get one. But that funding is generally on just the major streets. So it doesn't address local streets. And every city has the same problem with funding local streets. Most have millages. I say most. Most that I've worked with have had millages and or some sort of general fund allocation to roads that is earmarked only for roads. Because I've seen it where it gets earmarked in the general fund, but it gets used for something else because some emergency comes up and we have the money there. So.
And I was noticing in the packet too, the state is gonna be redoing Broad Street, taking the 4 possibly down. We're gonna do a traffic study or a traffic diet, I think is what they called it. And so what course, because those are included in that 40-some miles.
That is not included in that.
Oh, that is not?
No, and all the numbers I've given you and that we do on ratings are only our local and major streets.
That we're responsible for?
Yes. That is from City Hall to
Steamboat.
Alley, not Steenberg, because they repaved that some years ago. And we have talked with them about potentially going from a 4-lane section to a 3-lane section at road diet for safety reasons and all of that. But that's still being looked at by the state and by us.
Well, thanks.
Very welcome. Anybody else have any questions?
You may.
3.5 mils comes out to $570,000, I believe. Is that correct?
somewhere in that ballpark.
About 550.
Okay, that's 3.5 mils. Jonesville collects 4.65 mils, and they've been on the ball for quite a while over in Jonesville. Just drive their streets and you'll see the difference of what they've had, the vision. Our biggest problem was the former director did not believe in chip seal, and that would have saved some of our roads, as you show on your thing here. It gives it longer life, but the former director refused to do that, and we are paying the price for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Any more questions for Kristin? Thank you, Kristin, for that encouraging, but also. Well, Gary knows the answer. The state's gotta increase the revenue sharing, and the changes have to be made at the state level, and we're doing what we can here, and
Yeah, just to say, I put out a piece looking at what happened to revenue sharing, and we just had this, from 2008, you had this general collapse in revenue sharing, statutory revenue sharing, and it's still not back to where it was in 2008 in terms of adjusted for inflation. And you had the same thing that went on with Proposal A, and when Proposal A was passed, everybody thought property taxes were only going to go up. But they didn't say, oh yeah, but what happens if property taxes go down 25%, and they can only go up by 5% of the rate of inflation until they get back up. And so you had this collapse, and then you couldn't get back up to where they were. And so it's been decades till the basically the state equalized value, taxable value is back to where it was. I'll have to send you an update of my piece that I wrote on that. But yeah, I mean, we should really be talking to our state senator and our state rep about this revenue sharing issue.
yes, sir.
The numbers that I put together on the maintenance stuff, it was actually quite discouraging because I started off with numbers that were from 2019 and from 2019 to 2023. And I'm using numbers from projects that I've done around town. So we're using regional numbers. I'm not comparing us against Detroit, but those numbers were twice as much as what they were in 2019 because of the cost of construction now. And that's the frustrating thing is our gas tax funds aren't going up the same as the rate of inflation for just goods, services, and materials.
Well, I can tell you, when I got on council in 2013, the estimate was $1 million per mile of road construction, of complete reconstruction, and now it's almost double that. So, and
Yeah, and like I said, this isn't just pulling numbers out of the sky estimates. These are actually from the projects that we've done around here, and those numbers reflect that.
sure.
Because obviously regionally, they change, because getting materials here versus getting materials in Detroit are different.
Yes. Robert had a question.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just curious, what percentage of the road revenue is from the gas tax? Approximately.
Well, it's all but the, actually, random estimate here. We get just shy of $900,000 on the major street system in gas tax. And then we get $280,000 for the local street system. And we get the 3.5 on this budget form, which was done way back, was $500,000. And then our millage, or 500 from the millage and 365,000, so that's 800,000 for just those two. So we have about $1 million to share amongst all 40 roads. And then the millage and the charter funds bring in another 800,000. So, you know, but of that million that we get in gas tax, we got to take all the maintenance and plowing and all of those things out. So when those things are taken out, the administrative costs are taken out, there's only 200,000 left. So you get $1 million in, and you have 200,000 left at the end of the fiscal year. And I'm talking numbers that have tracked over 15 years. When I built this budget to help Jason out and Jake, I built it out with history of 10 to 12 years, which is very consistent. So, you know, and he's cognizant of these numbers in an effort to try to trim his costs down. But again, cost of doing business every day, and his costs are getting more expensive as well. I mean, we've done things just to free up his staff by contracting out our pavement markings, which his crew used to do. And we're doing it by every other year, and that saves us labor so that the guys can do crack filling, because we'd rather have them doing that, preserving roads. So there's things we've been doing and employing, but you still have to do it. You still have to put the pavement markings down.
Thank you, Kristin. All right, let's move on. Item letter C in communications petitions is Mitchell Research Center's Holiday Open House. This is, of course, at the Mitchell Research. It is this Saturday, which is December 9th. Opens at 10, doors close at 2 p.m. So I encourage everybody to attend that. Item letter D is 2023 Best Decorated Home and Business Contest. Those are the two categories. First place $100, second place $75, third place is $50. This is through the BPU and it's open to all BPU customers. Item letter E, Toys for Tots thank you letter. This is from Pam, and she's thanking us for taking part in Toys for Tots, which we do every year. Item F is a Comcast letter, and item letter G is a commissioner update from Commissioner Ingles, which you guys all have on your, should all have in front of you here. The high points are the budget, which will be published November 28th, or which was published November 28th, 2023 at the Board of Commissioners meeting agenda, and you can find that on the Hillsdale County website. Any questions, discussions on any of the items we just went through in communications petitions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to